Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Well, hello, Archie.
And good day, Stevie.
And from whence?
How goes it?
It goes well. And from whence do we find you today?
We find me in Boulder, Colorado at some 7,000. No, that can't be right. 5,000? 6,000? It's high. I'm high up in the air. The air is thin. I'm pounding liquid in order to stay hydrated. So far, it's barely working. But I'm doing my best.
But it's good.
What else? Yeah, I think that's good. As usual, I've sung 3 nights worth of songs. And so, as usual, my low tones will be resonant and beautiful, but I have no falsetto to speak of.
You're sounding husky and beautiful.
That's right.
Ready for all of your voiceover work for movies and such.
I'm ready for my voiceover. What I do is I like to sing 3 90-minute shows, and then the 4th day, voiceover town. That's the move.
I hate you. Do you smoke as well?
I occasionally do
have
indulge.
a wee toke.
Yeah. Not in this altitude, though. I can't do it here. I can barely walk upstairs here.
Right. Well, I'm so jealous of how much you can sing and what you can then do afterwards. Because if I'd sang for 3 days, not a peep, nothing.
No, there'd be you'd have some rich, gruff. Just the time to go in a world.
In a world. It doesn't really work with my voice.
Well, it would work if you went out and screamed for 4 hours. That would sound great.
That's true. Have you been watching Ted Lasso?
I don't have Apple TV yet.
Well, I won't spoil it, but I've been trying my Ted Lasso impression of Mr. Roy Kent.
Oi,
interesting.
Jamie, you're a twat.
And we've already said the word twat.
Yes, twice.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's begin the show.
This podcast is about Star Trek. This is Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast. Today's star date is 3/2/7925.2, and we're discussing Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 7, entitled Where Pleasant Fountains Lie. A little bit of a tongue twister.
Indeed. And another Shakespearean drop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually know what it's from. I know it's from Venus and Adonis, but I don't know to what it refers.
I couldn't. I don't know the play well enough. I only know. I'm like, oh yeah, Shakespeare.
I wasn't even familiar with that one, and I was in a Shakespeare club at school.
Well, they're gonna revoke your card or whatever you get.
I was really only in it for the tea and cake.
Oh, tea and cake.
Tea and cake.
That sounds lovely.
Yes, it was rather civilized. It was fun. I always played a wench. Anyway, back to the episode.
Okay. Yes, well, a delightful episode in which many things happen. Maybe we should just run it on down.
Let's do it.
It's time to run it down. Can you run it down for me? Tell me what just happened. Can you run it down for me? We begin on a nameless planet. Now I hear my own voice and it sounds silly. We begin on a nameless planet that the Cerritos is helping them. They had just completed like 100-year war because a computer had made them fight one another. The computer's name is AGIMUS. And Ransom has disconnected AGIMUS from all of its drones, and they put it in a high security box, and it almost tricks Ransom into throwing him into a control panel and starting everything over. But they managed to lock him up in a box, and then they go and get some food. When they get back to the ship, they're hailed by Queen Paulana. Paulana? Yeah, I think I wrote that right. And she says that she, first of all, appears fully as like a royal queen. like a Ren Fair essentially
Mm-hmm.
style queen, and says that their dragon breath something or others are broken and they need the Cerritos as chief engineer. And Chief Billup shows up on the bridge just at that moment and is to the queen's delight, and she addresses him as Andarithio. Andarithio Billups. And he says, "Oh, mother." And we find out that he is the spawn of royalty.
Yep.
Yeah, so then we have credits, and so boy, we have the lower decks crew. Boimler's polishing his phaser rifle because he's got this sweet assignment where he's going with Ransom to the planet Dansk to fight giant centipedes, and he's super happy about that. And he thinks Mariner is jealous of him because she has to do this like cargo haul to the Daystrom Institute. But then, just as he is gloating about this, he is reassigned to the cargo haul. The Cerritos pulls up next to the Queen of Hesperia. The Hesperians is a Billups's people. Cerritos pulls up next to the pleasure yacht of the Queen of Hesperia, and Billups is in engineering, and he says he just wants everyone to be careful, not for his mother's deceptions. Apparently, by Hesperian law,
Interesting one,
if
this one.
Billups, yes, this is very interesting. If Billups is to lose his virginity, he automatically becomes the king of Hesperia. And so he is a virgin, first of all.
Now,
And secondly,
what about if some
yeah,
young prince just happened to get lucky one evening after some prom? He would immediately become king.
I mean, a ridiculous concept,
Indeed.
but it works. It works as an inciting incident for this episode. And apparently his mother, therefore, is always trying to trick him into having sex with people. And so he wants to be very
So
careful of that.
Freudian. So weird.
It's very Freudian. Yes, there's a lot of strange stuff going on there. So, but anyway, the queen shows up and she wants Billups to fix their quote dragon breath engines, and Billups selects Rutherford to go with him. And apparently, they like all the Hesperians rename everything to make it sound magical and whatever, but it's all still science. Rutherford's super worried about it because of all the monarchs and the bowing and all the stuff he's going to have to do. But Tendi tells him to get outside of his comfort zone and enjoy working on a new ship and just be careful of decorum. So, meanwhile, Mariner and Boimler are in that shuttle on the way to Daystrom, and they hit a gravimetric shear and they crash into a planet, and the shuttle gets all banged up, and they wake up on a desert planet, and Mariner has a fractured arm she has to put into a sling. There is a breathable atmosphere, but there's like a graveyard of other broken ships there, and all the systems are down. There's no way to send a distress call, and the replicator's broken. And they discover that they're traveling with the evil computer, AGIMUS, who says he can help. Meanwhile, on the Hesperian ship, they enter, and it's ridiculous. There's a hall of portraits, there's armored sentries. It's all very Ren Fair, very very larpy. It's very larpy on that ship. There's like women just dancing for no reason to flutes constantly.
Yeah, and we assume that you are nerds like us and you know what LARP is, live action roleplay, and Ren Fair for
Yeah.
Renaissance Fair, which I nearly went to one, but we couldn't go in the end. Sad. It was recent.
Oh,
I really wanted to go. Anyway,
recently.
yeah, there was one up here around Central Hudson Valley area.
Well, they happen frequently. You can go again
that's true.
some other time.
I'd have to find an outfit. Maybe I'd be Robin Hood. Who knows?
Yeah, I think maybe. I mean, you could reprise your role as a wench.
I could try.
You don't have to do that.
Thank you.
You could be. I like you as a Robin Hood. I think that could be. How's your bow and arrow?
Pretty good. I think I would look good in the hat, though. I think it's really about the.
It's
headwear.
about the hat. Let's listen. Let's not play around here. It's about finding a cool hat to wear.
If you're a wench, then it's the big cone thing, and if you're Robin Hood, you get the cool hat. So yeah, that's.
And do they have veils and corsets?
Of course, I'm not into that.
Blousy things.
Anyway.
Yeah, no. We'll get you okay. Anyway, so where were we? Ren Fair. Yeah, it's all very Ren Fairy. There's people dancing around. He shows up. Everyone's super happy that King Baralanfliarf is back. What's his name? Andarithio. Andarithio. And they huzzah him, and people start dancing. Anyway, they go to the Dragon Breath engines, and they run a full diagnostic, and they're going to have to work on it. But the queen's like, "Oh, do you think you can't fix the ship?" And he's like, "Oh, I can definitely do this, Mom." And so he and Rutherford get down to brass tacks. Meanwhile, Mariner and Boimler are on that planet, and they've got Agimus, and they're outside. And the replicators don't work; they'll only make licorice. They're charged by a beast that eats all their rations, and so now they're stuck inside with no rations, no water. They can only get licorice from the replicator. They can't send a distress call, and Agimus is able to sneak into Mariner's like pack and download some information about her. So there's a little something there. And, Agimus is trying to trick them into fighting each other and plugging him into a console, giving him power, anything to get back, back to where he was. So they've been stranded for a while. They need water. They have to go searching for it. Boimler makes a Bjorn for Agimus to carry him around, and they walk on the planet's surface to find something. They do find like some fruit of some sort, and it tastes like black licorice, but it's good or whatever. And Agimus is still trying to manipulate them. So eventually they bury him, as they say in reference. I'm sure this will be in the Easter eggs comment about Data's head being buried in the sand. But then Agimus gets attacked by crabs and he runs out, and Boimler helps him. And that's when Agimus tries to turn Boimler against Mariner. He informs Boimler that Mariner's the one who took him off the Centipede mission because she didn't think he was ready for the, quote, big stuff. So he wakes up Mariner all angry, and he's siding with Agimus. And so Mariner grabs Agimus and takes him away because she thinks Boimler's about to turn. Meanwhile, Billups and Rutherford, they fix the engine. The Queen is like, oh, I'm super impressed. She's like, you know what, Billups? Oh, that's right. They call him Andy because his name is Andorithio. I get it. She's like, listen, I'm not proud of you, but I understand now why you want to be an engineer instead of a prince. And just at that moment, Freeman calls for Billups and says, Billups, get up here. And so Billups leaves and tells Rutherford to stick around for the feast. Billups goes to see the captain. The captain's like, just trying to get you out there and get you some space. And Billups is like, actually things are going great. I think my mom finally gets me. I think today things have finally changed. And then as they're looking out the view, boom, there's an explosion on the Hysperian ship. And they rush back and are told that the Queen died in the explosion, as did Rutherford. Tendi gets to snooze in sickbay, and she's pretty broken up about it. And all is not well. Meanwhile, Mariner and Boimler are looking through the old wrecks on that planet, and Agimus is still trying to convince Boimler to use them. And Boimler seems to be falling for it. Eventually, he and Mariner do start fighting. Like, he starts fighting Mariner to get Agimus, and he pulls a phaser on Mariner, and she says she wouldn't do it. And then he does do it. He stuns her with the phaser, and he takes Agimus into one of the wrecks that Agimus says he can turn all the power back on and get them out of there. Meanwhile, Freeman and Billups show up on the Hysperian ship. No, this is much later. Oh, yeah. So Billups shows up in Freeman's ready room, and he resigns from Starfleet because he has to take the Hysperian throne because it's empty. So he's given a sash and a robe, and he's very sad about it. And he's going to have to go lose his virginity in order to become king. Again, we accept that this is the case. Tendi, who's still broken up about Rutherford, she asks the computer to locate Rutherford, and the computer is able to locate his cybernetic implants in part of the ship, so Tendi goes to find that. Meanwhile, Mariner wakes up on the planet. She realizes that she's been stunned by Boimler. Boimler's in the ship with Agimus, and Agimus says he can bring the ship back online if Boimler plugs into his battery, so Boimler plugs Agimus in. Tendi is looking for Rutherford. She finds that place where his cybernetic implants are and finds that Rutherford's just hanging out with the Queen and a bunch of her like court, and they're just having a big old feast. And they didn't know, well, Rutherford didn't know anything about the explosion because the Queen transported them there to eat, and they've been toasting, and it's all been a ploy to get Billups to lose his virginity and become the king. And so Rutherford has to run and find Billups, who is in a state of déjà vu with two people and is about to, utilize his parts for pleasureful fancifulness. Where potted plants grow. So he's able to run in there, and apparently Billups needed a little more time to get ready for his first big debut. And so Rutherford is able to inform him that the Queen has not, in fact, died, and all is well, and he doesn't have to have sex. He can be an engineer and a virgin forever. Meanwhile, on the planet, Mariner finds Boimler, Agimus says, "You're too late. Ha 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 ha. I will make a fleet of murder drones and destroy all of this quadrant. Ha 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 ha. I fooled you." And then Boimler was like, "No, I fooled you, actually. I was using your power to send a distress call." Boimler had only connected him to the dimmer switch. And Boimler had only stunned Mariner in order to get the computer to trust him. But it surprises Mariner. She's so happy that he's become the evil computer now. And ha ha ha, they have a great time. Billups yells at his mother that she doesn't accept him. And he says she's just going to have to deal with the fact that he's going to be an engineer. And she sort of accepts that. Dun dun dun. Meanwhile, I mean, it's not a dun dun dun, but it's like a we'll see. AGIMUS is taken by Boimler and Mariner to the Daystrom Institute and put in evil computer jail. And as they walk away, he rails as he says, "I will destroy all. I will annihilate the Federation." And then a computer next to him says, "You won't do it. I'll do it." And then you realize it's a jail full of evil computers that all say that they will annihilate the Federation because it's a popular thing. And that, my friends, is the end of episode 7, season 2 of Lower Decks.
Boom.
Boom. Boom.
What did you think?
I enjoyed it. Good, nice little caper.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sort of on the lookout for some big finale. So I was like, is this it? But no, it was just like they wrapped it up in the episode. I liked the Mariner Boimler business. I'm glad Boimler's starting to show that he's not a complete doofus. It's cool to get Billups' backstory, even though it's insane.
Yeah, I think we'll end up probably calling back to that at some point.
I'm sure we'll meet Queen Paulana again.
I'm sure we shall.
And she will once again try to trick Billups into having sex and becoming king.
And I thought it was hilarious that not only was he about to have sex, he was about to have a threesome with the two guards.
Yeah, he's going to have a threesome with the two guards. And yes, the queen says something to the effect, "My guards are trained to skip foreplay. You'll never get there in time." Yes, it's a very strange culture, the Hysperians.
But it's not the first time Star Trek has had weird sex cultures.
Of course. Yeah, TOS is full of weird sex things.
Yeah. So is TNG.
Yeah. Oh, so is TNG. That's right. Yeah. Listen, say whatever you will about Mike McMahon's very strange sense of humor. He is pulling from real source material. Like there's always a weird sex episode or two where they're like, "Yes, now you have sex and then you die young," or something like that.
He's definitely figured out what the Trek tropes are. And he's calling back.
He's got all the Trek tropes.
Yeah, it's great.
He's got every single Trek trope. Well, I guess that brings us to trying to make it longer every time. Yes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Doug Berbice here at the Set Phasers desk. We go immediately to Stevie Man's on the ground at our Easter egg desk. Stevie, how's it going?
Well, hi there, Augie. Hi there. It's great to be here as always. How are you doing? How good? I hope you're well in the studio there.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Excellent. I thought we had a couple of Easter eggs, but obviously, I think it's the typical one is super obvious. We have the evil computer. And I think Landry was he referenced? I think he was referenced in this.
Was he referenced again in this?
I think he was referenced, yeah. But I thought what was really interesting about AGIMUS, or my favorite thing about AGIMUS, was he was voiced by Jeffrey Combs, the wonderful Jeffrey Combs.
Yes, indeed.
And I've been familiar with his voice, and I looked him up. I was like, oh, he's been in so many things, and he has, in fact, graced Star Trek. I think this is his 4th different series. So he was in DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, and now Lower Decks.
Oh yeah, it was too early for him to be in TNG, right? He was never in TNG. But I distinctly remember every other character he's done. Yeah, I don't think he was in TNG at all.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, I thought that was quite cool.
Fantastic. He almost single-handedly saved the first season of Enterprise.
Who was he in Enterprise?
He was an Andorian. Pink skin.
No, was that him?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
We'll see, Pink skin.
Yes, he did. You're absolutely right. He saved Enterprise almost from the brink of extinction and exile from Trek canon and more. I think at the beginning also, I think they were talking about the network of drones. I think AGIMUS was like,
Yes.
oh, it's a network of drones. And I immediately thought of TNG Season 1, Episode 21, The Arsenal of Freedom. Do you remember when they beam down to a planet and there's this sort of automated system and they have these network of drones? I wasn't sure if they were going to call back to that, but I think when they said network of drones, that's what I was led to think.
Yeah.
And it's,
I think that's all. I think it's all in their reference. That makes total sense. There we go.
And I think for me, possibly the last sort of real Easter egg was Billips's mum just gave me such Luoxana Troy vibes. Like
Totally.
the sort of overt, like helicopter mom, who's almost sort of a hippie in the sense of, you know, the modern sense, if you like.
Yeah.
And obviously sort of very sex free and open and all that. So.
And also like a royalty or diplomat or whatever. So it comes and turns the ship upside down.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Did you notice anything else?
No. The other thing I noticed was the very obvious thing where they were like, we should bury this like Data's head.
Oh yes.
And then
You're
Boimler
right,
says, actually, Data's head was in the cave. And we just watched that episode, I think, didn't we?
No, I think we nearly.
Did I?
Maybe you did.
Okay.
The Fistful of Data. Part 1 and 2.
Yeah,
We
I
keep
thought
talking
maybe
about it. Maybe we should just watch it. The weird
Yeah, we
snake
should.
head thing. Oh, did you notice who played Billips's mum?
I did. I made a note of it when it was happening, but I didn't write it down.
It was hard because obviously she put an accent on, and it took me a minute, but I guessed and I was right.
Is it a regular on the show?
No.
Oh, no. Who was it?
June Diane Raphael.
Really?
Yes. Who,
you know that is
Paul Scheer's wife.
That they're husband and wife. So that's wonderful.
So that, I imagine, will definitely be a callback.
What a weird...
Yeah.
The show and the meta stuff of the show is just so great.
They are married and she was playing his mother.
Yeah. So it was trying to get him to have sex with people.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not. I sort of recognized her voice because I listened to their podcast, but I just kind of like put it aside because I was so I was so obsessed with Jeffrey Combs being.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure who that was the whole episode. I was like, I know this voice.
Well, obviously, Aki, that is all that I have from the set here of Lower Decks. It's back to you in the studio.
Well, thank you. Kermit, did you just put on a Kermit
you're right.
filter?
It sounded very Muppety. I don't know where I went with that.
In the studio.
Back to you in the studio. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you had a Kermit filter. That's pretty sweet.
I didn't know either. These things just happen.
Yeah.
Happy accidents.
Happy accidents, a Kermit thing you have. Well, we could go to quotable moments. I have at least one, I think. Somewhere.
I only have one also. Quotable moments.
Actually, I have two, but one is very dirty. My first one was just Mariner asking how are when she was talking about the phaser rifles. She says, "How are those different from regular phasers?" And Boimler says, "They take two hands," which is funny.
Fair. I had Captain Freeman. I don't know why I keep going. What was that? I don't know why I keep giving alien street food a chance. It's always such a gamble.
That was great.
I like that.
Yes. That was a very cool, weird open because they put AGIMUS in the thing and then they're like, anyone hungry? Like, I could eat.
Yeah.
They come get alien street food. The other one I had was just so gross, but Rutherford, when he bursts in, he's like, "Where's Billups? Did his kingdom come?" And I thought that was very, very funny.
Oh, that was
so
quick,
childish, but it made me so fun.
Oh, boy.
Such a funny, stupid thing to say. Anyway, those were quotable moments.
Oh boy. Let's move on.
Yes, next time on Set Phasers. Next time on Set Phasers, we'll be discussing episode 8 of season 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks, and who knows what shall happen then. But certainly something cool. We're getting towards the end. I'm puffing this up too much. The point is, we'll be discussing it. So if you enjoyed what you hear, thank you first of all for tuning into this episode of the program. And if you'd like to hear more episodes of our program, you can catch them wherever you get podcasts. And we make new episodes every Monday, and you can get them wherever you get podcasts from.
Indeed. And if you want to catch us on the social media, the SochMe, we are at Set Phasers and at Set Phasers Podcast.
Meme Game Strong. If you'd like to support our continuing mission to discover what Star Trek has in store for us, I just said track.
Star Trek.
Star Trek, like an 80-year-old man. If you'd like to discover what Star Trek has in store for us, we would love your support. You can go to patreon.com/setfacers and sign up there to become one of our patrons and get to do cool things, but also support the podcast.
Indeed, you could have Netflix watch parties once a month with us. And
Yes, once a month.
indeed, and I think we'll even start to do the video episodes from our pod going directly unedited to the Patreon.
Oh, sweet. Oh, how unfortunate
I
for
know.
them. Ooh,
Get to
yeah.
see inside our little rooms.
Our
Wherever
hotel
we
room.
seem to be.
There's a lot of calf heads on the wall here, which is disturbing me the whole time. Very scary.
Anyway, what happens next? What do we sign off now?
Yeah,
Make it less awkward. Until next time, I'm Stevie Mans.
And I'm an angry computer that wishes to destroy the Delta Quadrant. And this has been Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Computer. End program.